Welcome back to the Super Movie Bros podcast. This is Michael, and
Kyle. I'll go by that today.
just for today.
Just for today.
As you see, we are in a completely new format. You can see our faces. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, no. So this is how it's going to be from now on, as long as Kyle shows up. You know, he had a little bit of trouble this morning, but I expected that. So today, as the TV show Andor has closed up permanently, never coming back after its 2-season run, which sounds short, but it was an excellent 2-season run. We decided that we were going to talk about the film Rogue One, that Andor is a prologue to.
Prequel. Same thing. Same shit.
I don't know why I said prologue. It's a really extended prologue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, prequel to Star Wars loves its prequels. As Rogue One itself is a prequel to A New Hope.
So it's a prequel to a prequel to.
Well, what we're talking about is just the prequel, and then I'm referencing the TV show, which is the prequel to the prequel.
Which is, prequel to the.
Well, I'm just using it. Basically, since we're not a TV show podcast, I am using this podcast as an excuse. If I talk more about Andor than Rogue One, don't tell anybody. But that's
Don't spoil Andor season 2 for me because I haven't seen it.
You haven't watched it?
Nope. So that was my caveat when I was going to start this was, you got to do this without really spoiling season 2 now.
Damn. Okay.
I know.
I'll try to be
It
vague.
really trips you up.
It does a little bit because the fact that we spoil movies here is not because we think that it's like more necessary or anything. It's just because we're terrible at talking vaguely, but also in depth at the same time. Like, I don't know how people do like just legitimate movie reviews. It's crazy to me.
You tempt it.
I went,
Something like that. Whatever you want to call them. Reviews.
We're no Jeremy Johns or anything like that.
Yeah. But so, I haven't seen season 2. I will see it, obviously. And I love season 1. So it's not like I'm anti-Andor or anything.
Sounds like it, but it's cool.
So tiptoe around season 2, please.
I will. Especially since we're supposed to be talking about the movie. So
Yeah, no, we're not talking about Andor, we're talking about Rogue One.
Yeah,
so.
Rogue One, that came out in 2016. That was the second film that Disney released as they took over Star Wars and, ruined my childhood in the process.
First being what, Rise of Skywalker? Yeah.
That was episode 9, so that would be like...
The first one that Disney put out, though, right?
No.
What was the first thing Disney put out?
The Force Awakens.
Oh, duh. I got him.
Yeah.
He's a Star Wars guy.
I'm representing and everything. But yeah, no. So, it came out 2016. This was definitely a departure. This was like, they were like, we're not going to focus on the Force, despite how they still did have that one guy. I am the one with the Force is one with me. I am one with the Force is one with me. I'm glad you're shaking your head. We'll get more into that, but that's definitely not my favorite part of this.
Not.
No. But yeah, no. So I feel like we're beating around the bush.
Directed by who? Starring who?
You could jump in and do this.
No, well, I don't know the whole cast. I know it's Gareth Edwards, right? As director.
I thought his name was Gareth Evans. Am I mixing? There's the guy that directed the fighting, Indonesian fighting.
Yeah, you could be right. No, but you got
Mr. With the
you don't have to go down the
movies or
cast if
whatever.
you don't want because
Kong movies.
This is a
Diego Luna. It's the most important one for me. Felicity Jones is the lead, though I will say after watching it
ever.
Yeah, we're going to be kind of preaching to the choir on this one. I didn't necessarily feel that way until after I watched Andor and I started watching the movie from Cassian's perspective.
Let's just start it then.
Let's just get into it. We don't need to give them a whole cast.
I need to open my notes. Well, this one has too big of a cast, and that's not what I meant when I said that.
Yeah. Behind the scenes.
So I'm gonna start this one though.
All right,
Rick, with this question to you. I don't know if we're jumping, whatever, but is Andor allowed to make it better? Does it make it better? And just because Andor's good, does that mean retroactively we have to go back and say Rogue One's good now?
Well, to be fair, so my opinion aside, Rogue One was pretty well received by people when it came out. No, Rogue One is like a lot of people's favorite Disney Star Wars movie.
That's wild.
What would you say is dramatically better?
I'd take The Force Awakens over this.
I mean, when I first watched it's probably the one I enjoyed the most. The Force Awakens is like probably the one I would say too. Yeah, you and I seem to be pretty well aligned on this because there's a lot of people that don't feel this way. Because I agree with you. But as far as how it was received, and the idea for the story for Rogue One, I think is best. And I might.
Well, that's my other. I mean, I can just keep peppering you with questions.
And there's also moments from Rogue One, like the space battle over Scarif, that I prefer over anything else.
I think this movie is a mixed bag.
It is very much a mixed bag.
There's things on here that I really, really love, and there's things in here that I roll my eyes at and just go,
yeah,
like screw that.
So
it's cheesy, like the quips. I don't need a New Hope references. I don't need the random C-3PO R2-D2 just popping up. It's distracting.
Yeah,
I got a bad feel, and then it's just
I
don't know. It's a very Marvelized Star Wars.
It is.
Remember this thing? Remember this thing?
Yeah. The interconnected thing is definitely a problem, and that's kind of a universal thing.
How do you escape that when it's literally a prequel to a small little smidget of something that's in A New Hope?
You have confidence in what you're doing, which is what Tony Gilroy had. Though Tony Gilroy is involved in Rogue One. Yeah, he basically.
Which I didn't know after watching this. I saw his name pop up. I was like, oh, I guess he does have.
So he was initially involved for 3 weeks. And he told Kathleen Kennedy, I have 3 weeks to work on this. And so he worked on the script or whatever. And then someone else, did other stuff to it. So he's probably the reason why it has the generally more serious tone it has. And then other people touched it. And then Gareth Evans, blah, blah, blah. And then at the end, they're like, oh, now we have a mess. And they brought Tony Gilroy back in to clean up. So
he wanted to come back and do Andor because it seems like it got people at the top really messed with it.
I think, I don't know, because it sounds like Kathleen Kennedy lets him do what he does.
And Andor.
No, I know. But I think maybe all the things we don't like, obviously we can't say everything we don't like is associated with, Gareth Evans or whatever. But I do think he's the reason. Like, I feel like if you see something similar to the Andor show, it's probably Tony Gilroy.
Yeah. No, there's parts that you can see. Okay, I can see that in Andor. There's other parts where it's like, okay, this is not.
Yeah, and there's introductions to characters, such as in season 1, the guy he escapes the prison with, is in Rogue One, and he's a very small character in it. But
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So I think that a lot of the core story ideas were Tony Gilroy, and the way they were handled. There's a likelihood that it's largely, and maybe Disney did say, hey, since this is one of the movies, we have to have that core Star Wars theme, which is, family, love, and everything, which I don't dislike those themes at all. I'm not saying that. It's just that the way that they're handled here, where it's trying to be serious, but also trying to be Star Wars, it just comes across as, like you said, a mixed bag.
Well, yeah, that seems like they're going, you know what, we just made Force Awakens, everyone's criticism is that it's too much like A New Hope.
Yeah.
So what do? We got to make something that's not A New Hope. We got to make something that's not very Star Warsy while being Star Warsy. So it's like they had this product that's like, they went out, took a risk, and then they're like, no, but that's like not Star Wars. So we got to put some Star Wars in it, and then it just becomes this weird.
So they put in
Frankenstein.
Ip Man.
They put in what?
Ip Man. IP.
Oh,
Ip Man.
Is that how it's pronounced?
No,
pretty sure it's IP Man.
No, IP Man.
Yeah.
Intellectual property man.
I don't know. I did not know it was pronounced Ip Man.
If it's not, I'm gonna look like an idiot to everybody. Anyway, yeah, they put him in.
I can live check you right now on here.
Yeah, go ahead. But you're making me lose my train of thought.
Ip Man.
Yeah, they put in Ip Man, but no. Point is, I do think that Tony Gilroy is responsible for what's good about it. And I mean,
so he's responsible for 30% of it.
Yeah. But so to answer your actual question that you started with 5 minutes ago, of do we have to pretend it's good? Reread it. So I can there's the basic of it.
The basic question is are you
So here's
in
the
the
thing.
movie laws, are we allowed to now go back retroactively and be like, because the prequel leading up to this movie is so damn good, and so one of the best things that
After
Disney's ever put out Star Wars wise.
crazy statement, but after season 2 aired, I didn't finish. I was like, okay, so that, and I've seen The Wire. I love The Wire. It's in my top 5 TV shows of all time. You know, I got Breaking Bad, all that.
Yeah.
This is my favorite TV series of all time. 100%. You know, yes, me being a Star Wars boy is part of it, but like it took it seriously. It didn't have a lot of the Star Wars stuff that makes it kind of Marvel-y, and it's my favorite. But the way I look at it is this: it was jarring for Haley and I. Like I don't think it's a bad movie. I'm not upset about it necessarily, but it is kind of jarring going from the end of season 2.
Forever linked.
No. But going directly from season 2 of Andor, which is just so serious, and everything that happens feels like a realistic thing, right? Like, oh, if this was the situation is kind of realistic for a sci-fi setting. And then what happens within that sci-fi setting is realistic too. Characters are realistic. And then you go into Rogue One, and then Haley and I are both watching it as like the end of Cassian's story, and it works like that. He's still the same person.
Yeah, no,
but
he's the same.
But not entirely.
No.
Because he's weirdly a little too like positive. Like random chick whose dad is like important, but she's done nothing, is like trying to give a speech, and the Cassian I know would be like, "You don't know what you're talking about." You know what I mean? Like that wouldn't, I don't know. And then whenever she's on the platform, we have barely talked about the meat of the movie here.
Well,
we
can just end up titling this. It's the connection of the two.
Yeah,
we're really talking.
That's
about,
fine. Which is more relevant right now
the movie
anyway.
Came out 10 years ago. So
Yeah,
it's like,
this is more relevant. But no, whenever she's on the platform and like they're going to get her dad, and she thinks, "Oh, we're going to rescue my dad," and then Cassian's like, "We got to take him out so that they don't, can't get any further." And also probably cover their tracks and everything. Whenever she's on the platform as the X-Wings come in to bomb it or whatever, his concern for her, I was like, where'd this come from? I feel like at this point in the movie, you'd be looking at her as a liability because she is, and you'd be like, screw her, we got to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I get it.
And not like he's like, oh, he's this bad guy. I think he's like a very good guy, but he's realistic about things, So there was a bit of a jarring difference between the show and the movie, but I don't think they did him any injustice. They did a good job, like showing you how he became. The show did a good idea of how he became the person he is in Rogue One.
Yeah.
And Rogue One still does feel like the same character, but yeah, it is the worst lead in Jyn Erso in a movie. I'm like, how is your main character essentially completely pointless?
Well, and we know nothing about her.
Well, no, like
And we don't care about her either.
No, well, all we know is
the first thing
we know is she has a dad.
Run.
Yeah,
That's it.
she had to run away. She grew up with Saw Gerrera, the crazed, how do I word it?
Talks like this.
Yeah.
I didn't ever realize his voice was so like annoying.
Oh well, they kind of explain that.
I know, but just in the other properties in the games, I guess he's not so effed up yet.
The gas stuff that they've been like stealing or I don't even remember. He's been like breathing it in because he's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does have like this like addiction to whatever you want.
Well, I think that might be just like good air.
You think?
I don't remember.
I took it as like he's
it could be. It could be that he's addicted to whatever they were breathing in. But it's like not. It's not. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like huffing paint. I think. You know what I mean? Like it's weird stuff. They got their weird issues. Yeah. There's also a few plot lines.
Galactic Sharpies.
Yeah. Right. Galactic Sharpies. There's like, what's the name of the actor that plays the Imperial pilot that turns in the beginning of the movie?
Oh shit! Don't put me on that. All I know is he plays Jim Carrey's sidekick in Sonic.
I haven't watched it. But no, he's in a few things.
Actually,
he was
I
in.
don't know. That could be a different guy. I think they just look the same. I don't know.
Don't want to get into that, huh? Yeah. But no, he was also
in
in
Riz Ahmed.
Riz Ahmed.
Yeah. then that's definitely not the guy from Sonic, and then I definitely sound like an
yeah,
asshole now.
Yeah, you do. No. He was in The Night Of. He's a great actor.
Yeah, that's him.
They apparently they were supposed to make it that whenever he is being, like interrogated by Saw, and like he's like, this is gonna mess with your head, but we're gonna see if you're telling the truth or not, because Saw's all paranoid. There was supposed to be like a kind of a subplot where he's more messed up by that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So they kind of didn't give it, like, no character in this movie has enough time for you to care that much.
Yeah.
So that's why
they're all expendable.
You have K2, and then
cool.
it's great. There's more. Never mind.
I put down
almost said a thing.
The best characters are. Wait, were you about to spoil season 2 of Andor?
Yeah. Anyway, so K2 and Cassian are the two that I feel like are who you're rooting or watching after watching Andor, who you're rooting for.
I'm rooting for them even when I haven't seen Andor.
I don't remember now. Like I can't remember my perspective on Rogue One before, because it had been like several years since I'd watched it.
Probably since it came out in the theaters. I hadn't done a rewatch. I mean, I just know it, but
I watched it in like 2020 again, I think.
I don't. She's boring. The pilot guy, he's too much of a. I don't know. He just didn't do anything for me.
Well, he's underdeveloped.
Yeah.
Everyone's underdeveloped.
Yeah.
If they developed anybody more, then you would have, felt more behind it. I do like the way they set up the rebellion. That is one thing that I feel like they did a good job of. They made it a little bit more realistic and human.
Yeah.
That the rebellion would have to make
tough decisions.
Yeah, tough decisions, and it's not all black and white, and I like that they started that, for Andor to kind of come in and finish it as a TV show. Again, they had more time to develop that, so I won't hold it against them too much that they were able to focus the show on those themes better than the movie was.
Yeah. Well, you want to go into some of my notes I made about this movie?
Yeah.
Or some comments? Well, right, what we're saying, I was like, the robot and Andor are the strengths. I had down. The rest of the cast is just meh. We've already talked about the cast enough, so I'll get past that one, though. But you always preach. So obviously, if no one's seen Rogue One and they're just miraculously stumbled upon this video and they just want to see our beautiful faces talk about a movie they've never seen, then maybe I'm describing something to them. But movie's about getting the Death Star plans to the rebels.
Yes.
Pretty much it.
It's funny that we've waited this long to say
Yeah, I know. You always say, though, that you always preach, not everything has to be explained.
Yeah.
Do we really have to know? Do we really need a whole movie about how something that they kind of didn't even think about in the 70s with the failsafe and
you're misunderstanding why things don't always have to be interconnected or why things always need to be explained.
I don't need that.
You absolutely need
you
an
don't
explanation.
Need a whole movie.
No. You need an explanation because it's always been viewed as a plot hole. Why did they have this hole that you could just put a little bomb in and it would explode the entire Death Star?
So we need a whole movie about that?
Yes.
No, we don't.
Yes.
That's no.
I definitely don't think this is one of those.
You could have explained that away in Andor in like 15 minutes. And you could have left out Jen Erso. You could have left out all that stuff.
No, I sorry, I disagree with you on this.
You don't need that.
I think it was. I mean, technically, you don't need it.
To the
No,
point
but
where you
like,
even got
but it's a worthy excuse to make a prequel.
It's a lame excuse.
Because it also like, all right, then how about this? If it's so not needed, give me a basic plot idea for something to show how the rebellion was like getting its first victories against the Empire, and not this.
I mean, you can have this. You can have that as a little part of that, but I don't know. I mean,
it's pretty important. And also,
no, it's
A
not.
New Hope is the first Star Wars film that ever came out. So to connect it to that,
we weren't alive then. So when that movie came out, everyone's going like, "Wow, it was a really good movie." But damn, it's weird that they could just blow up the Death Star so easily. We're gonna have to get some.
You don't think there was anybody that left the theater thinking that big giant space station and they just left a hole there? I'm sure there were people thinking that.
I mean, later in the years, people started making that a thing.
Yeah, once Reddit became a thing, everyone's online being like, "Oh, it's really stupid though when you think about it."
So let's make a movie to shut them up.
I know. Let's make a movie because it's a good idea.
It's not that great of an idea.
Damn, I didn't know you hated this movie that hard.
I don't hate this movie. I just think it's boring.
Yeah, I
and there's good parts.
You don't have reasons to
the
care.
set designs are really good. The last 25 minutes are really, really good. This whole Scarif is all great, I think. I like Scarif.
It is pretty good.
I like the set. I like the ideas of it. But I could care less about some of the other characters. It gets really boring in some places. I don't know. It's just, it doesn't do it for me. To the point that I guess, yeah, right. Force Awakens, I would have picked that over this.
I left the theater for The Force Awakens happier than I did for Rogue One, but I thought I was in the minority for that. But
I think The Force Awakens, well, we're not going down that rabbit hole.
I don't know if we'll ever do an episode on the episodes on the sequels. No. Unnecessary.
So, does Andor now make it better? Or does it make it worse?
Andor doesn't make it better or worse. In a way, I guess it could make it worse because Andor is so good and Rogue One is not really the same.
Yeah.
And in my head, before I rewatched it, because I just watched, all of season 2 of Andor, I did think that it was going to, like, my memory made Rogue One seem more like that, though I knew it wasn't the same. And I was like, oh, yeah, this really isn't the same.
No. So I bet I would have even more of a stronger opinion about this movie had I seen Andor season 2. I don't think I could go into the other. Yeah.
Well, hopefully when you do finish Andor season 2, you will be able to see that.
Yeah, I know I will like Andor season 2 because I love season 1.
Yeah.
I just think, like you're gonna say, you said it's jarring to go from this to Rogue One.
Yeah.
Because it probably should have been made as they came out. I know it's hindsight's 2020, but no one knew at the time. You think at the time
Star Wars they're always making wait, what?
You think at Rogue One they're making Rogue One at the time and they're going, we have all these plans for this Andor character?
No. Tony Gilroy had the idea for it. And at first they were like, eh. And then Kathleen Kennedy called them there later and was like, you want to do your crazy idea? So I know, but to be fair, Tony Gilroy's been kind of on this tour being like, Kathleen Kennedy's the one that approved my show. So
because she's leaving and they're all going to kiss her ass on the way out. But
I get it. But I'm just saying, if we can say that she made a lot of mistakes, but did she greenlit this one?
Yeah, one of her better decisions was greenlighting.
But South Park's critique is definitely accurate.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, just watching this now makes me just want to go back to Andor. Just like,
oh yeah. No, 100%. Like I said, Andor is not here. Here's another thing. Andor is not ruined by Rogue One. That was one thing I feared.
That's a good flip, yeah.
So that's my big thing. He acts a little different, but it doesn't bug me that much. And his story is still like a worthy end for him. Yeah.
I would. That's one of the better things in this movie is that they had the balls to kill the two got people off. Because in any other instance, I swear it's. There they live somehow, or they get off the planet somehow.
And I was glad because I didn't remember. I was like, did they overtly like kiss or something in Rogue One?
I thought they did,
and they don't, and that makes me very happy because I wouldn't have wanted that for them.
Because there's nothing else that they just have these moments where they get real close. There's no moments where they're sitting there
when they know they're going to die. When they know they're going to die, and they're just having like a moment together, and then they hug. That's like you're about to die. That's different.
In that instance.
You get what I'm saying, though. Yeah. So I didn't take that as overtly romantic. It's more like a human connection thing. Is how I took it.
I think they should have just got down and dirty right there on the beach. Where I was dying. I didn't know also that the Death Star moves so slow. Just the amount of time they had from when it hit the planet to when they die.
Have you not seen? That makes me feel like the very next episode has to be A New Hope, just so you can see how long it took them to get into position to hit the moon.
No, I don't. No, not like the Death Star itself. Just how long it took to destroy the planet it's destroying. It's a moon in that one, but I remember it just goes. Poof. This one is just like it hits, and they're still at the top of the tower. They make it to the bottom of the tower, and they get up to the beach, and they don't kiss by the time.
That is. Okay, that is the thing where Star Wars is like, in this movie, this works this way. And in this one, the same thing works this way.
Yeah. I was like, they have all that time? Like, even when Saul is about to die, it's like, they have all this time to just leave the planet? You can just...
Maybe it's because they weren't using it at full power.
I'm sure we'll get a whole movie about why they didn't... Explain why. Well,
A full movie of why it's
it
not.
was on a half tank of gas, and
Yeah.
this is on a full.
This is how they got the second tank of gas to make the oh my god.
This is why the Death Star stronger.
So,
in the
yeah. They had the one movie about how they were able to destroy the Death Star, and one movie about how they were able to get the second tank of gas for the laser to refuel it to actually be able to destroy Alderaan with a big explosion.
There we go. Rogue One,
dude.
2.
Yeah.
A Star Wars story.
Rogue One, 2.
Rogue 2, I guess.
Oh, no.
No, we'll go Rogue
I like
One,
Rogue
too.
One, 2.
Rogue
Much
One,
better.
too.
Much
Star
better.
Wars story.
So do you have more notes or?
Let
Because
me
I have I'm going to do my watch one, remake one,
sure,
erase one.
I'm sure. No, I pretty much covered everything. Obviously, I said, like, the last scene, the last 30 minutes is probably the most epic part of it. That's the better part of it.
Did a great job with the
Yeah.
whatchamacallit.
But overall, yeah, no, I think this movie it's got good parts. It's just, like, I don't know, I keep going back to the mixed bag. There's parts about it I like about it. There's parts that are just, I could totally cut out. Like, there's characters you could just completely cut out.
Yeah.
And there's characters
Yeah, and if that includes your main character, that's
you
a problem.
can cut
Your
out
movie's
the
got a
main
problem.
character almost and somehow design.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. And just have Cassian.
They could have, Cassian get the message about the
You can keep the dad. You can keep the
yeah,
daughter,
yeah,
you
no,
keep
100%.
Mads Mikkelsen. Because
Yeah.
I think he's one of the better characters, even though he's barely in it.
To be honest, if you did the thing of not explaining him as much and just making him a guy that wanted to defect, that doesn't have a daughter or anything, it would have actually been more impactful for me, because then it's just about him as a person wanting to do the right thing, and he's like trying to get a message out, and Cassian's like, all right, well, we got to kill him to not get the information out there.
Had they had Empire killed Urso's mother and daughter, or wife and daughter, and then just have him be this. Give me more him. Honestly,
No, 100%. I agree.
Give me more him.
So, because I now know that you agree with me that The Force Awakens is probably the best Disney Star Wars movie, I'm actually, and we're doing, this, we've talked a lot about a prequel, and then we talked about the prequel to that prequel.
Okay.
So the prequel,
They were doing the
prequels to the prequel of the prequel would be episodes 1, 2, and 3 of Star Wars.
Yeah.
So, episodes 1, 2, and 3. Remake one, erase one, and watch one. Or I said that out of order.
Yeah.
Also, apologies to Adam Blank of Remember the Game. I stole your thing, but you talk about games and we're talking about movies. If you ever hear this, get mad at me for stealing your game.
That's a hard one.
It is a hard one.
I don't know.
I have a crazy take, I think.
You go first.
Okay.
That way we don't have this dead air of me just sitting here going,
I'm going to go out of order for the sake of making it like most interesting for last, because to me it's kind of obvious. Well, see here, I just had a thought. Do I want to erase the worst one, or do I want to remake it to make it better? Yeah. Well, no, then I don't want to erase one of the good ones. Oh, no, logistically this makes no sense, right? No, I know. I mean,
I guess I'm going to steal it from you. I'm going to go first, I guess. Okay. I guess I'm erasing A New Hope. Just because I love...
Can I ask, when I said the prequels to the prequel to the prequels...
you're talking... Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
I've got the wrong 3 movies in my head.
Yeah.
See, when you start doing that crap, it's kind of confusing when you keep going prequel to a prequel to a prequel.
Well, I just thought it's funny.
This is a lot easier now.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so since you now have to think about it, I'm erasing Attack of the Clones because it is the worst one. Honestly, that's wild. You and I are gonna have a disagreement.
We're gonna agree. I'm back to the. It could. I'll go when I go.
Yeah, I'm erasing Attack of the Clones because you could technically, in my opinion, if I'm remaking one of them, I could restructure it to make it accommodate the loss of Attack of the Clones.
You said a comedy. I was like,
accommodate the loss of Attack of the Clones.
All right.
It's not a bad movie. I can never say that about the Star Wars movies that aren't the sequels. And it's just got the worst dialogue ever. I don't want to get into a whole review, but it's wildly cringy. Yeah, it's wildly cringy. It does it for me the least. And I'm going to remake Revenge of the Sith because as much as people, love it, and it is very good. There's a lot of things that, like, I read a thing the other day where it's an article about.
It's the best of the 3.
Oh, I have a hot take here in a second. Very, very hot take. So in Revenge of the Sith, the novel, they basically have like the novelization by Matthew Stover. He had written a bunch of Star Wars books back in the day.
Yeah, Matt Stover. No,
what?
I said love him.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Just go from Matthew to Matt, and everyone thinks you know him. And so he basically gave explanations for a lot of the things that we don't get explanations for, like
how Padme got pregnant.
Like Obi-Wan had more to say to the council when Anakin like walked out of the room about not having him spy on the Chancellor and thinking it was a bad idea, rather than just one line of, oh, I disagreed with him, but it just a lot of little things that helped out a lot, like filled in the blanks that I can fill in the blanks because I know more being like a super fan and I can kind of excuse and stuff. But anyway, so you're remaking Revenge of the Sith to kind of pad that out and fix that up a little bit.
Okay.
And then I'm watching The Phantom Menace because it is the most underrated Star Wars movie out of all of them. And it does a great job of establishing the theme of the fall of Anakin Skywalker and the character and, how this started to happen. If he had been trained by Qui-Gon Jinn, he would be the Jedi he needed to be. But he got Obi-Wan. And Obi-Wan wasn't the guy he needed, Whenever they find him on Tatooine, you know what? Do you remember what Obi-Wan says about him?
This kid.
What? No. That brought me a story back. That's what Kyle said about me whenever he saw someone talking to me when we met in like eighth grade. Why are you talking to this kid?
Yeah.
Anyway, no, he said, "Why do I feel like we've picked up yet another pathetic life form?" That's what he said.
When he says that
on Tatooine, yeah.
I don't remember that, but I believe it.
Yeah,
I believe you.
And then episode 2, he's kind of a douchey dad type.
So you don't like we're going.
No. I like Obi-Wan.
Off the rails now.
Yeah, no. I like Obi-Wan. Oh yeah, this will be our longest podcast yet. We better,
Yeah.
But no, it's so underrated. Dude, we'll do an episode about it, so I won't get into it too much. Super underrated. Great thematically. It sets up why he turns so well. It sets up the story so well, and the issues with the Jedi very well. Because if the Jedi were more like Qui-Gon Jinn, they would not have fallen. They would have not had the hubris. They would have, you know what I mean? They would have been better.
That's deep.
Yeah, dude. They were stuck in their rules and all that, and not seeing what was there in front of them. Qui-Gon saw what was in front of him. He was like, "Yeah, we don't train them." Hey, that's not very nice.
He got stabbed.
It's not very
nice.
nice.
I didn't really see that much.
Also, that's the best the duel in all of the entire series. That is the best duel.
I get it.
Like whenever those things at Qui-Gon's just died, the doors open and Obi-Wan just goes swinging. That's the best.
I didn't like the movie.
The best start.
You don't have to win me over. Episode 2 is the worst of the 3.
Oh yeah.
I'm going get into episode 3 over episode 1.
But just would say it. You've ruined it. You've ruined it.
No, so episode 3 I'm not touching. I'm leaving it as is. Okay. Episode 2.
So would you say that you're watching Revenge of the Sith? Play by the rules of the game.
I'm watching episode 3. And then episode 2, as much as I would like to tweak it and remake it, Michael's game doesn't allow me to do this, so I have to erase it.
You could erase the Phantom Menace.
I don't want to erase Phantom Menace because I like Phantom Menace just like you.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I'll remake it.
You're remaking the Phantom Menace?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just changing just a little bit.
Like, what would you change?
I'd make put me on the spot. I'd make the pod racing better.
I like the pod race.
I'd make it more action.
I like it.
I'm on an IMAX camera on a real pod and just send it.
Okay. I mean, now we just need a remake because that would be awesome.
Might as well make a whole movie about that. Explain how pod racing came about.
And then we'll have Tom Cruise do all the stunts.
There we go. Tom Cruise as Anakin Skywalker and it's like shitty wig in a pod and acting like a child.
Exactly.
And then we explain how Anakin How did Anakin become such a good mechanic? We got to know.
He was always good at fixing things.
How?
Because
We need an explanation.
he has a high midichlorian count. All right, he uses the Force.
God, see what happens when you start explaining
You
shit?
don't need to
It's
explain
terrible.
everything, Kyle.
Yeah. Oh, God. This movie, the Rogue One, is everything you should not like about your number one quip, and you don't see it in this.
No, there's plenty of things in Rogue One they don't explain.
Purpose. Of
I
Rogue
think
One.
we've run our course. I don't think we should do this.
It serves no purpose.
Yeah, serves no purpose.
All right.
All right, well, that is the end of our first
visual episode.
visual episode. Yeah. I don't
is.
know. I know. I just wouldn't have worded it
It's
that
a
way.
weird way.
The end of our first visual episode.
Yeah.
Now that you've seen us with your eyeballs, I hope you liked it. I would have said video episode. That's all I'm saying.
Not the way
Anyway.
you're staring at them. They're not going to listen to everything.
Oh yeah, no, I had to. I had to stare them in the eyes. All right, how are we signing off? Sign off.
I'm thanking everyone for listening and watching now.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
And we'll see you
we'll
next
see you
week.
next week.